welcome to Where You Live. I'm Tracy Koga, and Blair, come on down. You've done enough work today.
But I'm working on a ladder, sort of. Not the same kind of ladder, but...
No.
Hey.
Well, you know what? We had a very exciting summer.
Very busy.
Yes, we had the Canada Summer Games here, which brought in a lot of visitors, but there was another project, a very special one, in the beginning part of July that we took part in.
Yeah, Habitat for Humanity, and you were there just when the whole thing got started.
Oh, I know, and well, it was one hot week, but here's a look back.
Yeah.
We are on Lyle Street, just north of Portage Avenue, and this site was for many years the home of the St. James Police Station, subsequently Winnipeg Police Services building. We're building 20 homes simultaneously. 15 of them, as we'll see, will be permanently here, and the other 5 we're building as we call them RTMs, ready to move. So we build them on a platform, and then they will be taken to a permanent foundation in a different part of the city in August. The foundation is in and poured. The basement rafters are in place. The main floor is in place. And on the ground here in front, you can see a frame. We're going to be building the roofs for these houses on the ground. So starting on Monday, we will simultaneously have crews up top on the deck, framing the house, and on the ground, building the roof. And on Tuesday evening, we have 3 cranes coming, and they're going to have the roofs will be completed by that point, and the roofs will be lifted onto the houses. So while the homes are going to be similar in size, we build fairly small homes. They'll range from about 850 to 950 square feet. They will not be cookie cutter in their appearance. Each of them they'll have distinctive fronts, different color treatments, different types of finishes, different types of porches, and different types of eaves on the top. One of the requirements of the Habitat program is that a family must complete 500 hours of sweat equity before they can purchase their home. Sweat equity is all about commitment. When we select a family to come into the program, we're making a massive commitment to them. We're saying to them, we're going to go out and buy a piece of land on which to build a house for you. We're going to bring the community together, get the financial resources and the physical resources to build a house. And once the house is built, we're going to sell it to you on terms that everybody wishes they had, which is no down payment, no interest on the mortgage, and payments geared to the family's ability to pay rather than the value of the property. We have families working in the restore with us. We'll have them work in the office with us. So whatever it is they're doing, it's helping us keep our costs down. So we don't have to employ someone to do that. It helps us keep our costs down, so we have more money to help families. The second part of sweat equity is to work on their own house. And we do that because we want them to have a sense of pride of ownership. We want them to work side by side with the volunteers and financial supporters who've come together to help to build their home. And we want to have an understanding of how the house actually is built and constructed, because the #1 requirement for any homeowner is to look after the property. We need to be in the city. We need to be somewhere where there's good transit services. And ideally, we'd like to have a piece of land where we can build a number of homes. They're harder and harder to find, the bigger piece of land inside the city. So we often find ourselves building on infill lots where there's 1 or 2 or maybe 3 homes. So we're thrilled when we get a bigger piece of land like this. But buying land is a non-stop activity for us, and in the same sense that fundraising is a non-stop activity. And building, we build year-round. We never stop building. By the time we're finishing the homes from one year, we're starting the ones from the next year. One of the things that I learned after joining Habitat 11 years ago is that there is an affordable housing problem in every community in Manitoba. There's an affordable housing problem in every community in Canada, and I've extrapolated from that, given the wealth of our nation, that there's an affordable housing problem in every community in the world. So it doesn't matter where you are, there are people who are living in inadequate housing. Yeah, this is a really, really exciting year for us. Jimmy and Rosalynn Carter are returning to Winnipeg. The former president and former first lady have donated 1 week of their time through their charitable foundation called the Carter Center to Habitat every year since 1984. The first time they built outside the United States was in 1993 when they came to Winnipeg and built 18 homes in partnership with the community. And it's highly unusual for them to return to a place. And so we're doubly honored that they were here once and now they're coming back. And so we are thrilled that they will be on site, and it has generated a great deal of excitement in the community. Despite having 500 volunteers a day on site here, for the period of July 10th to 14th. We have volunteers who don't have, we don't have places for everybody. We could, if we were building 30 homes, we could actually populate all of those. So the response to what we're doing and the Carters coming back to Winnipeg has been remarkable.
Okay, it's day one here at Habitat, and we have the star, the man himself here, Scott McGilvery. You're like a host, but really, Scott, this project is a lot different than the TV shows that you do. I mean, this is really where it all starts.
Well, this is some of the stuff I guess you don't get to see on our TV shows, is that I've been building with Habitat for 10 years, and this year is an impressive 150 homes being built to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday. Kicking off the event this week here in Winnipeg, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, we have 500 people here on site today. It's no small task. You can see the 21 homes being built in the background. We're already sweating, we're working hard today. Built a roof this morning on one house. I'm working on 2 of these, are specifically my builds. And you know, we've got some great deserving families who've been working hard. You know, they don't get given these homes, they have to earn them. They have to put in their volunteer hours. They have to, you know, qualify for mortgages. And the idea is that this is just a nice middle ground for these folks who otherwise may not be able to get a roof over their head or a safe place to live. So we're doing everything we can to make that happen.
I want to talk about the volunteers. Some of these people probably have never had a hammer in their hands. That's what you preach every day.
Yep.
How do you get people easy putting on these hats and shoes and the tool belts?
You would be impressed. You know, these volunteers show up there, and when somebody's motivated to do something, it's easy to teach them. So everybody here is willing to learn. They're sort of lined up, ready to go. We give them the hammers, we give them the aprons, we give them their nails, and basically, you know, I just start a few off and I say, watch me. We put in some blocking, raise some trusses, start some sheathing, and then just, you know, give them the simple tasks, a lot of hammering. There's a ton of hammering going on here. And then my job is really just to make sure that we're getting the best use of time out of all the volunteers so that we can make this happen quickly. It's impressive. I mean, this morning we started with just piles of lumber. It's already, we have almost all the roofs built. Tomorrow we'll have everything framed and the roofs will be craned on. So by tomorrow it'll look like 21 homes here.
My name is Don Regier. I'm a volunteer with Habitat. I have no official capacity. I love working here. It's very rewarding work. So especially this year, I've done a lot of hours. I've been working on this site since March of this year, and typically 3 to 4 days a week. So it's almost like a full-time job. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't love it and if the people weren't fantastic. The people are wonderful here. You get involved with the builds, and it's wonderful to be doing physical work. But I've had one occasion to go to a key ceremony where the homeowner gets their home and there's speeches and there's food, and to just see it all brought home to these people, what it means to them to get a home for them, for their family, the change it makes in their life, that really brought it home for me. Well, there's a lot of excitement in that it's the Jimmy Carter, Rosalynn build, so there's a lot of excitement around that. And just the fact that we're doing 20 houses in one location, that's also pretty awesome. And it all ties in with Canada 150, I guess, 150 houses across Canada. So it's just a special year to be doing this.
Wow, Sarah, looking at the roof of your new home looks pretty good. What do you think?
That's awesome. Lovely.
Okay, so Sarah, this is the beginning of your new home, day one of Habitat, but lots of emotions going through your mind right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of emotion.
Let's talk about your family. How many kids do you have?
5 kids.
How old are they?
My daughter, she's 17 years old. And then my son, he's 14 years old. And 10 years old son. And then 3 years old son. And then 9-month son. I have 4 boys.
Oh my
One
goodness.
girl.
One girl. Well, definitely this house is going to be well needed. I guess when it's all said and done, Sarah, what's it going to be like to finally have a permanent home?
Excited. Yeah. Very excited.
And our future
Have
looks
your
bright.
Room. Yeah, to have their own room. So it's a lot of hope, like to be this day come. a lot of excited and just that it is now. Yeah, building my own house.
Well, we'll come back at the end of the week and see you.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'll see you there.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Supporting, yeah.
Yeah. It's Habitat for Humanity right here in Winnipeg.
I'm Stephanie Domenko, and this is my second year volunteering with Habitat.
And I'm Jennifer Quay Jansen, and this is my very first one.
Last year I came for the Women's Build, and I really enjoyed it. So I grabbed some ladies from work and said, let's head out this year for the Women's Build. So that's why we're here today.
It's been fantastic. There's lots of good people here and good times, and it's going really well. It's very rewarding already. Yeah, it would be very rewarding, you know, to be building your own house and working alongside all these other volunteers, and just knowing that all the work you're putting in is for your future home. I think that's fantastic.
My name is Paul Hebert, and I am a volunteer at the Jimmy Carter Work Project in Winnipeg. I first experienced Habitat back in 1986 when friends of mine actually called me from the States and told me about Habitat and told me they had signed me up for a work crew in Chicago for the summer of that year. So I called a couple of my friends and we went to Chicago. We built houses for a week with Jimmy Carter and Rosalynn, and came back to Winnipeg and basically found more people and started to dream about having a Habitat chapter in Winnipeg, and it happened, and here we are today. What I really enjoy about Habitat is the opportunity to use the skills my father taught me in a way to help other people move forward with their life, and in the act of this, we're all blessed by the community that's built and the emotional experience of working together with people you don't know to build houses with people you don't really know. And we just do it because it's the right thing.
2, 3.
Of course, one thing that is incredibly vital to Habitat for Humanity is the volunteers, which we saw a lot of. What is it like to see those people down there working hard?
Well, you know what? It was such an incredible vibe. There was an energy there, and I'm sure you felt it too. Everybody was so invested in their project. It was very cool to see the homeowners there too, because they have a vested interest in the house. It's called sweat equity, and that was coming across so much. And yeah, and well, I guess, you know what, the day that you went out was a little mucky.
Yeah, it was a little bit mucky, but people were really excited. It's weird because like I do a lot of my own home repairs, and I look and I'm like, I am not excited, but all these people were positive even through the cold weather. And actually, you know what, forget it. You just check it out yourself. Here it is.
My job is to check out the many different stations at Habitat for Humanity. I'm joined at probably the most important one. This is Michelle. Michelle's going to tell me where we are right now.
And we're at the entrance. This is where everybody starts coming in. This is where when they first get to the site, they have to check in. And so when a volunteer or a sponsor or anybody wants to come through, because the site is secure because of President and Mrs. Carter, they come through here. We have great volunteers that are managing that. They check them in, give them a goodie bag full of swag, get them a t-shirt, and then they send them on their way. And then they each get a name badge, so similar to this. So something like this, and on there it says where they're from, and then the house number that they're building on. So it's all about ease of flow, so that way they know exactly where they're going, and then they go inside. We have Americans that are here, about 60 to 70 Americans that have traveled here for the week. So they typically go wherever President Carter goes, so this year they chose to come to Canada with him. So they could have went to Edmonton or Winnipeg, and so we have about 70 that are here from different places all over the United States. So they pay to be here. They look after their travel expenses, and then they come. So they know what's going on. They've been on many builds. And then you have the other volunteers. This is their first rodeo. Like, they've never gone to a Habitat build, so they look like a deer in headlights. You know? So they were like, it's okay. Here's what's going to happen and stuff. So once they get through registration, they go to the food tent. We feed them breakfast. We do a whole bunch of announcements. every day we do a devotion, and what that is somebody talks about a reflection on, you know, why they volunteer with Habitat, what it's meant to them, so there's some meaning behind it.
Yep.
People volunteer for Habitat. Typically they say, I get more out of this than I give, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then you have other volunteers that their company has sponsored the Carter Work Project, and so they're here as a part of that project. So those are a lot of newbies. But then you have the ones that are veterans, like they have what we call habititis, and they come back every single year, and it's super cool.
All right, now we're at build house number 224, and I'm joined by volunteer Kevin. Kevin, what steps do you go to become a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity?
Well, first of all, as a company, we raised some funds through our recreation fund to be able to support the build, and asked for a number of volunteers from our business. There is a training program that you have to go through because safety is a real key thing for the Habitat builds. So there's an online safety program that we had to do beforehand and confirm that we all completed it. And then at the orientation this morning, they went through a number of other safety features, which are really critical because, you know, the last thing anybody wants is to see someone injured in any way, shape, or form at one of these volunteer activities.
Now, do you find when new people come to volunteer, do you find that they're apprehensive? Do you find that they're like looking on you to like guide them through it?
Well, I'm a new guy to this. This is my first time, so yeah, you are a bit apprehensive, but they've got great supervisors at every home, you know, really qualified construction people, and they kind of tell you, they remind you of some of the safety things as you go along and give you sort of ongoing instruction. So it's really, really helpful, really well run and well orchestrated.
All right, I'm here at one of the very important stations. I'm here at the first aid station. I'm joined by Bruce. Bruce, why is this so important?
Well, I think there are a variety of reasons. A variety of reasons is it's almost like a pop-up community. We've got 550 to 600 individuals. And so, first of all, just kind of meeting their needs, whatever they might be, for these 5 days is one issue. The other issue, we've got a lot of construction going on, a lot of activity with the inherent risks of doing this kind of work, whether it be slips, whether it be falls, whether it be cuts with utility knives, is part of it. The other, anticipating what the needs might be. We've had some very changing weather this week. We had a really, really hot day on Monday. And despite really good advice and counsel, many of us just don't keep hydrated. Many of us keep working hard at our work site, a bit of competitive spirit, or just a little bit too proud to say that we're not accustomed to hard work. And so looking after things like adequate hydration and the impact of sun exposure. Interestingly, the last day or two in this site, we've had more issues with cool weather and dampness, but the dampness also brings its own risk with slips and falls at the work site. So we're very fortunate. We've got really good instructors here, whether it be carpentry instructors, whether it be safety instructors, and people that are very, very accustomed to the rigor of a Habitat build. And so there's lots of good briefing information for individuals and lots of surveillance of the work site that's done by the crew bosses as well as those of us who are here with the first aid tents.
No, no, and no. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No ladder on scaffold.
Dave, not only are you a volunteer, you also have a very important title. What else are you responsible for?
I'm responsible basically to help make sure people go home at the end of the day.
So safety.
Safety.
Yeah. So what does that all entail? Like that's an easy answer.
No, well, when you think about 75 to 80% of the people on site are not construction people. They're office workers, they're professionals, they're anything but swinging a hammer, climbing scaffold, putting together scaffold. The biggest part is to try and teach people how to do something, how to do it safely. Habitat's very concerned with all their volunteers but they go home at the end of the day. And when you can find somebody's expertise and utilize it, they're going to feel better about themselves, and then they're going to be more open to learning something new.
This has been an incredible week. Look at all the builders here, and we have Mark Rogers here in Winnipeg. You are the Habitat CEO for Canada. Now, Mark, let's talk about this big project. I know Edmonton and Winnipeg, there's been a lot of attention put on those two cities, but you've been going across Canada. What has it been like?
Oh, it's fabulous. In fact, I've been summing up in one word: it's spectacular. So yes, we've been in Edmonton first, and now moving to Winnipeg. Edmonton, they were building 75 homes. Here in Winnipeg, 25 homes. But really, this is part of a pan-Canadian campaign. We are serving 150 families this week in celebration of Canada's 150th. So we are in every province, every territory, in over 50 communities across the country. So it's a really, truly spectacular event this week.
And you know what? We've been talking a lot about sweat equity, and this truly isn't a handout. The landscape now, what does a home mean to a family right now in Canada?
Well, it's life-changing. It really is. First of all, as you said, this is not a handout. All of the families that work with Habitat are homeowners. They're buying their homes. We provide an affordable mortgage for them, but they buy their home. But in terms of the outcomes of that, it's so significant. In fact, I say it's transformational and it's generational. Meaning on the transformation side, we know from studies that we've done that they have improved health outcomes, improved employment outcomes, improved financial outcomes, and even just the happiness factor for a family, the joy that they share is so much deeper, and the pride of home ownership. So it's incredible what happens when a family has this opportunity.
Welcome to Meg's home. Meg's, this is incredible. This whole week, how does it feel? This is almost done.
Yeah, it feels great when to see everything is finished now. So I am super excited.
All right, so you said you had 2 children, so how many bedrooms?
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms,
yeah.
And where are we standing right now?
We are standing on the main one now, so 2 bedrooms here, one downstairs.
Okay, now you have a lot of busy volunteers. What has that been like? Have they become your second family now?
Oh yeah, you know what, as the saying goes, it takes the whole village to raise a child. So we are not just only raising our children, but there is a good community of Habitat for Humanity who is helping us. So I am really excited, and I would like also to appreciate all the firefighters working side by side with me.
Now, Habitat for Humanity would not be possible without, of course, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was actually in Winnipeg, even with the crappy weather. But Tracy, you actually got to sit down with him. What was that like?
Oh, wow, a chance of a lifetime. What a gentleman. So well read and so well spoken. And, you know, we were very, very concerned because he did collapse on site due to heat. And he actually made a very nice comment about our medical system, saying that he was very well taken care of and he was very, very impressed.
That's props from the president.
Yes.
From a president. That's pretty impressive.
But you know what? We were talking earlier this week about a certain convention happening here in Winnipeg dealing with homelessness. And a report came out that a study was done about Habitat for Humanity, and though it cost a lot to have the president here and the first lady, the spin-off in 15 years, Blair, guess how much money will be coming back to the city?
Over $1 million.
Well, times up by 40. $40 million.
Wow, I was not even close.
Because of the fact that they have a 15-year mortgage-free payments for the homeowners, but on the 16th year they are expected to have enough money to eventually own their house, and for those 15 years they've been paying property taxes, taxes to the city, to the province, because they've needed to have a job. So it really is, it's interesting how this charity really knows how to work itself.
Well, I think it basically, it's like throwing the stone in the water and then the waves affect the economy.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, so getting back to the sit down with Jimmy Carter, here's some of the highlights, and wow, he is one incredible person. What is it about Habitat for Humanity that resonates so strongly with you and your wife for so many years?
Well, when I was governor, when I was president, you know, we had two basic things that we wanted to do. One was to promote peace, and the other one was to promote human rights. And I think that having a decent home in which to live is a basic human right. And so this is part of our overall lifetime philosophy, you might say, or religion. And we happen to be Christians, and we see that the basic human rights derive from the moral and ethical values of Christianity. And it's so hard to find a way to break down the barrier between people like us who are very fortunate and have everything, and people that don't have a decent home in which to live. And we think that having a decent home is a basic human right, of course. So this is a kind of a dedicated thing that we do. It's not a sacrifice, it's kind of a benefit for us. We never have come home from a Habitat project 36 years. We've only had it organized for 34 years, but we never have come home without knowing that we got more of a blessing out of it than the energy we put into it. We see school children go up 3 or 4 grades in school just because they have a house. And teenage boys who were formerly ashamed to bring their friends to their old place where they used to live, a rental place that's inadequate, are now proud to bring their friends to their Habitat house. And the kids stay at home and they have a place to study. And their parents quite often have a sense that they can help their kids so they make better grades. And I think that for the first time in history of families, sometimes the homeowner families, for the first time in history, they've had an actual success in life, where they tried something and it really succeeded.
What are your thoughts and feelings on the future for Habitat for Humanity?
Well, we don't have any control over that, you know, but Habitat has continued to grow and increase. When Millard Fuller passed away about 13 years ago, now we thought Habitat might be coming to a close, but it's, I think, 6 or 7 times as big in the number of homes we produce each year as it was then. So Habitat continues to grow. There's something inherent within Habitat that makes it especially worthwhile. And one of the things is the removal, as you mentioned in your question, of the stigma of charity. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. And we are very careful in Habitat not to give away anything. You know, we don't give a house to somebody, which means that we are the donor and they are the recipient. They have to pay full price for the house. And they have to put in 500 hours at least of hard work on their own home or on an adjacent home. And in addition to that, we go by what the Bible teaches. The Bible says that when you lend money to a poor person, you don't charge interest. So we charge 0 interest. And Canada has a special rule which I really like, and that is that the Habitat Project monthly payment, annual payment, is no larger than 25% of the total income of the family. Well, a lot of families around the world are paying more than 50% of their total income just to rent an inadequate place to live. And that means that they only have 50% or less left over for food, and they quite often do without food, or do without an education, or do without health care. So Habitat has projects to give people a decent place to live that they built themselves or paid for themselves, and also leaves enough income to take care of their other basic needs.
Well, that's a wrap for our week spent on the 34th Jimmy Carter Project with Habitat for Humanity. And I don't know about you, Blair, but it was a real eye-opening experience.
Yeah, it really was. I even love the people, some of their media people that came in weren't even from here. They were from like New York City or Phoenix, and they were just excited to be making a difference in a different city. So I appreciate that for sure.
And you are a handyman. You know, you're talking about all the time about the houses that, you know, you're renovating. What was your take on people that never have had a hammer in their hand before?
I think the biggest thing is no one feels ashamed that they don't know. And the atmosphere is very open to be like, you don't know, we're going to teach you, which really makes a difference when your own home, when your own work is showing results in your own home. And I'm really excited for those people to feel that when they come into their new house.
Well, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching another episode of Where You Live.